Welcome you to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. And I tell you guys, we are so excited to be with you on this evening. We know last week we shared a broadcast. I just thought it was just appropriate to share the broadcast that we had earlier this year. Or was that the end of last year? Last year with myself and Walter, who's the girl's biological father. And so we shared that broadcast with you guys on last week. It was awesome. I mean, we're still getting hits on it. People are still like, wow, you guys are doing it. That's the way it should be. And so I thought, it's just appropriate to keep sharing periodically, to share that type of environment, that atmosphere, to give a lot of you guys something to aspire towards in having that type of communication and relationship with the biological parent of the children. And so I think it was awesome. Walter loves it. He just loves every time we share it. And so it just was phenomenal. But this week we're back. We're talking about the blended sex segment, part 2. And so, wow, man, that kind of stirred up some things. Some folks was like, wow, you guys really went there with that one. And I'll tell you guys, if you thought we went there that time 2 weeks ago, you in for a treat tonight, because we're going to be talking about some things sexual. And so we're ready. We're excited. And sweetheart, can you give us the statistics so we can jump right into this?
The average adult enjoys sex 54 times a year, or a little more than once a week, data shows, while married couples under the same roof don't fool around quite as much. They still have sex about 51 times each year.
Wow.
According to the New York Times 2017, about 15% of the marriages are sexless.
So let's look at that. The average adult enjoys sex 54 times a year, or a little more than once a week. That's what data shows. There's information. They track everything. And they ask the question, folks will fill it out. So they're tracking that. But listen to this. Married couples under the same roof don't fool around quite as much. Now, I just think that that's a travesty. I think that's something that we really need to work on as couples, because sex was designed to be enjoyable. It was designed to be relational, the whole 9 yards. And I think a lot of times we allow situations and circumstances to come in and hinder us from enjoying that thing that God placed in our lives to be most pleasurable. And so it says that while married couples under the same roof, you should be on the same roof if you're married, don't fool around quite as much. So, that's just a little upsetting within itself to see that folks that's not married having a better sex life than folks that are married. That should be the other way around, guys. And we got to fix it. We got to work on it. We got to learn how to put some things to the side to enjoy each other and not allow those things to be crutches and tools to work against each other. And it says they don't fool around quite as much. They still have sex about 51 times a year. So that's a little less than once a week for the married couples. The adults, those that are single, they're at least hitting a week, but the married ones, you almost missing a week. And so, listen, we want to bring these stats out so we can work on it. We can fix them. And then the second statistic says, according to the New York Times, and this was in 2017, about 15% of marriages are sexless. Wow. You can say that again, sweetheart. Wow. 15% of marriages are sexless. And so that's 1.5 out of 10. 15%.
Pastor said, whose house is this? He said, whose house is this, Pastor?
It's somebody's house. I don't know who house it is, but it's somebody's house, man. You know what I'm saying? But we gotta work on that, because we
love you, Pastor.
We do.
You.
Yes, sir. We love you. You're a trip, man. And so 15% of marriages are sexless. Man, wow. I'm for a loss of words when I read that stat. because there are some things that I love. Let me be clear. There's some things that I love. I love God. I love my wife. I love sex, and I love cheesecake. those, are, those are some things I love. Then I can put everybody else underneath of it. No, I'm just joking. But let me tell you something. When it comes to things I love God, I love my wife, I love sex, and I love cheesecake. Now, of course, I love my children above cheesecake, but I do love cheesecake. And so, but I do love sex. Sex is up there. And so we got to work on those things, guys. Where do we get to a point as couples? Where do we get to the point as couples that we don't love sex no more? That you don't want to enjoy it? I don't care what, let me tell you, I don't care what's going on. I don't care how frustrating things are. I don't care how hectic things may be. This one right here, me, him, your boy, he love him some sex. And so, because
okay, you said that already.
No, but hey, that's what God said, the same thing. I'm just repeating what my father said. That's why he put it there for us. I love what he loves. And so since he told us to be fruitful and multiply, he said have sex. You can't be fruitful and multiply without sex. And so if you're really going to be fruitful and you're really going to multiply, you need to like and enjoy and love what you're doing. And so because he gave that commandment, I like and love and enjoy what he told me to do. And so, enough of that. So we're going to talk about dangers in blended sex and how to avoid, overcome them with the lack. And we're talking about tonight, we're going to talk about the lack of intimacy. We're going to talk about the lack of intimacy. You know what I'm saying? And intimacy is so relevant, so important. You know what I'm saying? I love even the analogy. I think Pastor Wayne used this analogy one time when he talked about the word intimacy. He said, into me see. And so when you're talking about intimacy, you're telling your partner, your spouse, to look into me. Into me see. Into me see my heart. Into me see my love. Into me see my joy. Into me see everything about me. That's intimacy. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to break that thing down as relates to sex in the blended marriage. Because we're talking about marriages, but because we're the blended ones, everything about us is blended. Right. And so what's the first one, sweetheart?
Your marriage relationship needs intimacy, regardless of whether it's physical intimacy or an emotional intimacy. Your relationship will slowly wither and die without it.
So stop right there. Your marriage relationship needs intimacy. Listen, guys, you need some intimacy. Mm-hmm. Not into my bills, not into my career, not into my dreams, not into my aspirations, not into my lack, but into me. Because just because you're dealing with some things and just because you're facing some things, those things don't make you. Right. And a lot of times I'm finding out that sex can be a tool and a weapon used against individuals, against marriage partners, because you think that lack thereof or that struggle or whatever it may be is them. There could just be some bad decisions, there could be some bad choices, or there could just be some things that's designed to keep you back. There's some things that's designed to keep you from moving ahead. There's some things that's designed that you weren't even supposed to be a part of. And a lot of times we confuse those things. And because those things are so prevalent and before us, now we're not looking into each other. Mm-hmm. We're not seeing the person that we say I will and I do with. We're not seeing the person that we say for better or for worse. Where did we stop on that? Why are we taking that out of the vows? For better or for worse? Because a lot of times the lack of sex is coming because of the worse. It's not because of the better, because when the better comes, you like rabbits. But when the worst comes, when things aren't on top and when things aren't the way you want them to be, now the rabbits are gone, now you're turtles. Everybody got a shell on. You pop your head out here and there, but you don't want to be touched. And so we got to work on that. Your marriage relationship needs intimacy, regardless whether it's physical intimacy or emotional intimacy. Your relationship will slowly wither and die without it. it'll slowly wither and die without it. You know, how many times, man, we've talked to couples or individuals who they looking at the person that they said I do and I will with as if they don't even know them anymore. They're strangers. You sleep in the same bed. You live in the same house. You're in the same rooms, but you're strangers. Why? Because of the lack of intimacy. You're no longer intimate with each other, and now you're like strangers. Mm-hmm. Now they're people you don't even know. Why? Because the more intimate you are, the more that bond is, the more that relationship can grow and strengthen, and the more you become one. That's what he said. Let the two become one flesh. Let the two be intimate. Go ahead, sweetheart, read.
Listen, you cannot create a physical intimacy without the emotional intimacy.
Say it again.
You cannot create a physical intimacy without the emotional intimacy, mm-hmm. Nor can you have complete emotional intimacy without the physical aspect as well.
So listen, guys, you know, when somebody say listen, that means listen. You remember growing up?
Linda, listen.
Listen, Linda, listen. The little boy was saying, listen, Linda, I'm trying to get your attention. I'm trying to get something across to you. Listen, 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 Linda. You cannot, let me repeat that again. You cannot create physical intimacy without emotional intimacy. You can't. When we're talking about true physical intimacy, you can't create that without the emotional intimacy. Or it's robotic. It doesn't mean anything. And we didn't get into this to have a release. We got into this to become one. Mm-hmm. And so if it now only becomes about a release, about a stress reliever, about a headache reliever, or whatever you may be using it for, if it's not about becoming one, because you're not one, you become one. Every day we're becoming. Every day we're becoming, we're growing, we're maturing, we're building each other up. We're becoming that thing, that picture, that image that God so desired us to be from the foundations of the world. That's what we're becoming. So he said, the two shall become. You're going to be that image one day. So without that physical intimacy, without that emotional intimacy, they cancel each other out. They cancel each other out. Go ahead, sweetie.
This is where couples find their relationships in trouble. Mm-hmm. It's very common for one type of intimacy to be more important to one partner than the other.
Stop. Say that again.
It's very common for one type of intimacy to be more important to one partner than the other.
It's very common for one type of intimacy to be more important to one partner than the other. That's true. You know how many times like there's one, and I can't say it's male or female because times are different. Mm-hmm. But there could be one partner that sex to them is bigger than communication or talking. Mm-hmm. Sex to them can be bigger than holding hands, cuddling, mm-hmm. Watching TV together, going for rides. Mm-hmm. You know, sex can be like to them. If we have a sex, to them, sex is emotional.
Teacher says it's getting hot in here.
You know, but then there are times where there's one partner who they gotta touch you. Like they gotta hold your hand. They gotta rub your arm. They gotta feel your chest. They gotta be close up underneath of you. To them, that intimacy mm-hmm. is more than sexual. For them, they arouse just by that. Mm-hmm. You know, I remember one time. I thought for me, my wife, she was ready when I was cleaning.
What? Don't tell no stories about me. I didn't give you permission to do so. You just go stick to your lesson. Yes. Absolutely. Ask me permission before you tell anything about me. And you didn't ask, so don't.
My bad.
Yes, thank you.
My bad. Okay.
Stick to you.
Stick to the script.
Yep.
Okay, now read.
Mm-hmm. Where was we at? It's very common for one type of intimacy to be more important to one partner than the other. Then they both find themselves going along thinking everything is fine until their partner finally speaks up and let them know that the intimacy levels are not what they should be. Keep going.
No. I want you to read that again. That was kind of fast.
Start at it's very common?
Yes.
It's very common for one type of intimacy to be more important to one partner than the other. We just discussed that. Then they both find themselves going along thinking everything is fine until their partner finally speaks up.
Stop. So this is key, guys. This is key because one partner can go along with things for a long time. Mm-hmm. And you never know that they got a problem with that. Always think about the
tuna casserole.
Always think about the tuna casserole. You know, I mean that our pastor has a way of that man can teach anything.
Yes.
And the lesson behind the tuna casserole, we always talk about the tuna casserole, was he didn't like it. He wasn't fond of it. And that was something that Dr. Didi, she loved to fix.
Right.
But had she didn't know he really didn't like it, she would have stopped fixing that a long time ago. But he didn't want to tell her he didn't like it because he didn't want to hurt her feelings.
What, did he really not like it, or did he get tired of it?
But
but either, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
No, because I didn't even think of that. And that could be possible because, wow, that just opened up a whole nother scenario to this. Because if sex is limited or not had because you tired of one way or you tired of one style and there's no variety, you know what I'm saying? I'm the type of person that, like, we meal plan. My wife more meal plans than I do, but I'm a meal planner. I'm the type of person I can eat the same thing every single day.
Me too.
I don't have to have a variety in what I eat. Now, sometimes it will be good, but I don't have to.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to change it up.
No, but I said that because there are some people who can't do that.
Oh no, I know a lot of people that can't.
There are a lot of people who can't eat the same. You can't fix a meal for Friday for the week.
Right.
They have to fix their meals every single day because they get bored with those.
Same thing.
Exactly. And unfortunately, a lot of people are like that sexually, where the enjoyment of the mere act now becomes boring and unfulfilling because there's no variety to it. Mm-hmm. They eating the same casserole every single day. Eating the same casserole every single day, or they like me with watermelon.
Oh yeah.
You know, growing up, I ate so much watermelon, I can't even stand the smell of watermelon. You know, a black man don't like watermelon. You don't say me. I hate watermelon. I can't stand it. I don't like the smell. I don't want it around me. I don't want it in my food. I'm just that bad with it. But that's the way a lot of people are. Because of circumstances and situations, now you've developed a hatred and a dislike to something that was designed for you to enjoy. Mm-hmm. Something that was designed to be fulfilling, something that was designed to be received and eaten up. I mean, you're supposed to enjoy that thing. And so, wow. Go ahead, sweetheart. I want to move on.
Let me go back to this part.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're at that part. And then they both find themselves going along thinking everything is fine until their partner speaks up and lets them know that the intimacy levels are not what they should be. This is the time where you're going to have to be a mature spouse.
No, read that again. This is what?
Which part?
This is the time?
Oh, this is the time where you are going to have to be a mature spouse.
Wow, let me tell you something. when, especially this, there are a couple things that as couples, as husband and wife, they can be sticky situations. One being finances, two being romance. Those two areas sometimes can be a very sticky situation. Hear me when I say that. It can be very sticky, especially when things aren't where they're desired to be. And so you have to be a mature individual, a mature spouse, to receive when your spouse is telling you, hey, this not cutting the mustard. Just like as a man, and finances aren't coming into the house the way they should be, or aren't being managed the way they should be. You can't get mad at your wife because she's telling you, hey, buddy, you gotta do better. I was that guy. It would hurt me, man, to hear her tell me, hey, you gotta fix this. You gotta do better. I mean, you gotta bring more in here. Well, you gotta do what you gotta do for this family. That would hurt me because it was a pride thing. And a lot of times our pride hinder us from receiving that information to have a better life. My wife wasn't telling me to fix finances because she just wanted me to fix finances. She told me to fix finances because they needed to be fixed. I mean, really, no, but that's important because when your spouse is talking to you about this sexual relationship, about this intimacy, and they're saying, hey, fix it, they're not just saying it because they enjoy it. They are saying it because they enjoy it, but it's not just that. It's because it needs to be fixed. Why aren't you enjoying it? Why aren't you being pleasurable in it? Why aren't you having it more than 51 times a year?
I mean, then it could be things that
outside of the physical ailments, outside of those things.
Right. Okay.
So we want to make that clear. Outside of you having a physical problem, outside of those things where you may not be able to physically do. Outside of that, I'm talking about someone who's healthy and free-willed. No, because, okay, you get mad at the job, but you don't stop going to work. You get mad at your boss, but you don't stop smiling. You don't stop doing what you're supposed to do to keep that job, but then you got the audacity, the nerve, the gall, the kahunas to come home and penalize your spouse because things aren't quite the way you want them to be. But we go to work every single day, like slaves, going up to a taskmaster, doing whatever we got to do to get that paycheck. Then we come home and then we want to be this way with our spouses. The person that we say to death do us part with, not knowing that you killing that relationship, not knowing that you're keeping that relationship from growing and flourishing the way it was designed to be. So go ahead, sweetie. I'm clear.
Okay. So this is the time where you're going to have to be mature as a spouse. Don't take this as an offense and get defensive in your stance towards your spouse.
Don't take this as an offense. Don't take this as an offense and get defensive. Watch this. Don't take this as an offense. Don't get off-ended. And now you're defending, because that's what we're saying. You're getting off-ended. You're off the end. And now you're defending. So don't do that. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Okay.
But
rather take this as offense and get ready to score like never before.
But rather take this as offense. Yeah. Because watch this. The objective for the offense is the score. Now, we said don't take this as offense, right? Because there's two different. There's offense and then there's offense. Spelt the same way, two different meanings. Don't take this as offense and become defensive. Rather receive this as offense, as ammunition, as equipment, as something to build you up, as something to strengthen you, as something to equip you. Now take that on as offense to give you the tools to be greater and get ready to score. Ain't nothing like scoring. I'm like Steph Curry, man. I want the scoring title. you gotta want to be a scorer. Because watch this, scorers win. Without scoring, there are no points. And without points, there's nothing that you can pass down to the next generation. You can't equip others without you first getting points. You can't equip others without you first participating. Mm-hmm. And so don't take this as when your spouse is coming to you saying, hey, listen, we got to fix this area. And unfortunately, society has told us that it's the men that get offended. Well, guess what? This 2019, it's women the same exact way now. And I'm not saying now like they never were like that, but right. It's more apparent that it's women that feel the same way that we thought it was just men feeling. And so now there are women that say, hey, baby, what's going on? We need to talk about this. There's a need that I have. There's a need that should be fulfilled in our relationship. Why aren't we participating like we should? Mm-hmm. And you can't get defensive because of that spouse is coming to you saying, hey, listen, we need to correct this. Go ahead, sweetie.
Okay. Or even more tragic, it's when neither partner says anything and they find themselves ending the relationship without really knowing why.
Wow. Even more tragic.
Mm-hmm. It's when neither partner says anything and they find themselves ending the relationship without really knowing why.
I can't even fathom that. I can't imagine. I'm not going to imagine that, but I can't imagine it. Being in a position where you and your spouse are now over with because you haven't discussed this, because you guys haven't come to a conclusion and worked this out, and now it's over. It's over, and most times it's over because somebody else is now taking that place. Somebody else has now fulfilled that void that was there because either that spouse refused to hear and listen and make the necessary changes, or you guys just never communicated it, thought it would work itself out. You know, it's just like fixing your marriage or your marriage getting fixed. God is not obligated to fix your marriage nor your sex life. That's your job. That's your responsibility. You the one said I do to death do us part, not to death do us and God part, but to death do us part. You the one said that. So it's now your responsibility to fix that. It's your responsibility if things aren't going quite the way you want them to go or the way they should be. And I have to be clear on that because sometimes we can want a little too much. And there's nothing wrong with wanting a little too much, but make sure it's right. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't want too much of wrong. You shouldn't want much of wrong at all. But you should make sure that what you want is right, that is correct.
I don't want much wrong. You don't want no.
No, that's why I wanted to clarify that.
No wrong.
Yeah, no wrong. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so you want to make sure that what you want is correct. That is right. And that's right. To build that relationship is right. That intimacy, that sexual bond, that's right. That was a part of the command. And if it wasn't right, he wouldn't have made it a commandment. Can you imagine God just saying, go have sex, have a whole lot of babies, fill the earth? If he would have said that, I think we'd have looked at this a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. No, really, because I don't know what we think he was saying when he said, fill the earth. When he said, be fruitful and multiply. Pastor Man, what was he saying? Talk to me. Help me out.
That's audience.
Help me out. Help me out, Pastor Jermaine. What was God saying when he said, be fruitful and multiply? Because I want to make sure that my understanding about it is the same as your understanding. So what was he saying? Man, can somebody help me out with that one? Help me out with that one. Watch this. That's exactly why we penned this. The ABCs of the blended family. You guys want to get your hands on it because we take you through A to Z on some nuggets that's going to just take your marriage.
And that's what it is, just dropping some nuggets.
Just dropping some nuggets from A to Z.
Taking pre-orders tonight too.
Yes, pre-orders. And she'll give you information at the end on how you can do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious. Somebody talk to me. And so even more tragic is when neither partner says anything and find themselves in the relationship without really knowing why.
Yes, Keisha. Oh, yeah, yes, it's a book.
Yes, Keisha, that's our first book.
Our first book, The ABCs of the Blended Family.
Yes, we're excited. I tell you, we are excited about that. And so let's go, sweetheart. What's the next one?
Oh, so Pastor Jermaine must have got off. He didn't. Okay. He said, "Look at God." That's right, Keisha. Problems arise when one partner uses normal occurrences, everyday challenges, as a crutch to bring intimacy to a standstill.
So, listen, problems, and we talked about this a little. This is where problems start coming in, guys. I'm telling you. A lot of problems come in when one partner, you're using normal occurrences. Because guess what? A loss of job is a normal occurrence. That happens. That's not something that's not normal. It's normal. People lose, companies downsize. Your partner was not a bad employee because the company decided to let go 5,000 people. They just happen to be one of those 5,000. And truth be told, and truth should always be told, you don't know whether or not them being let go was a part of the design for them to start now doing the business that God placed in their heart to do years ago. Because a lot of us are comfortable. We've been comfortable in going to this 9 to 5, getting this guaranteed check. It ain't guaranteed. That's why they got laid off, because it wasn't guaranteed. You're going to get a guaranteed check. You got guaranteed benefits. You got all these guarantees from somebody that can let you go when they feel like it. Somebody telling you it's a guarantee, but they're telling you what you're worth. That's not a guarantee. Guaranteed check. You want some stability. That's not stable, because you're killing yourself trying to impress people, whether it's your job or whatever. You're trying to impress them. That's not stability, because you're worried about being let go when you should be trying to impress God, trying to impress yourself. How about start with yourself for a second? Impress yourself about what you're able to do, what you're able to accomplish in life. Let's start there. You will see things open up, because problems arise when one partner will use normal occurrences, everyday challenges as a crutch to bring intimacy to a standstill. Don't touch me till you make more money. No, I've heard that. I'm not saying I've heard that from my wife, but I've heard that one. I've heard men tell me that we on a standstill till I get a better job. So you mean to tell me now, not only do you got the stresses of that, now you got the stresses of this, and not understanding that you could already be feeling low and there's nothing to build you up. There's nothing to say, keep moving, keep pushing, keep going. Now, this is a crutch, this is a tool, this is a weapon. Listen, guys, don't use normal occurrences, everyday challenges as a crutch to bring intimacy to a standstill. You don't know. You continually to oh wow, I thought about this. I love this woman right here. There's some women that I love. My wife being number one, my mama being number two, my daughters, they number three. But this woman right here, I love her. She's in that mix. Dr. Didi said, and that's my pastor's wife, our spiritual mother. She said, she said, I was acting like he was supposed to act until he began to act like he was supposed to act. And so watch this, guys. You keep doing what you're supposed to do as if they're doing what they're supposed to do, and they will be doing what they're supposed to do. But see, a lot of times, because, watch this, we use things the way we were raised. And unfortunately, if you were raised using things as weapons or things as tools to get you to do stuff, then consequently, when you now become married, you think sex is like that. You think sex is your spouse like that. You know, you think you could do that the way mom and them said, you know, you can't get this treat if you don't make all A's. Or I'm not going to buy you this if you don't do that. Well, guess what? God still blessed them in spite of their faults, in spite of their wrongs, in spite of their shortcomings. But our conditioning to using things as weapons, as tools of mass destruction, we're not knowing that we're doing the same thing in our relationships. Because you're using these normal everyday occurrences that happen regardless of who you are. There's going to be a setback. Regardless of who you are, guess what? Google lost billions of dollars. Facebook lost billions of dollars. It don't stop them from being who they are. Things happen. So watch this. You can't penalize that individual sexually because things happen. Where is we?
Sexual problems are nothing to be ashamed of. However, if there's a problem, there are things that need to be done to address the problem.
So listen, sexual problems are nothing to be ashamed of because we change. Mm-hmm. We get a little older. You know, we sometimes don't take care of ourselves quite the way we should. And so consequently, there could be some problems that arise that change the dynamics of how we used to do things. So when those problems arise, it's nothing to be ashamed of. They let you know that with the little blue pill. They making billions of dollars off a little blue pill because they telling you, don't be ashamed. Pop this. We can fix that for you. That little temporary fix. But again, the ultimate goal is don't be ashamed. Don't stress yourself out about it because there are some things that can assist you. There's some things that can help you. So go ahead, sweetheart, start over again.
Sexual problems are nothing to be ashamed of. However, if there's a problem, there are things that need to be done to address the problem.
There are things that need to be done. First of all, we need to talk about those problems. What are the problems? I found out, sweetie, that a lot of people aren't even talking about those problems. You know how many, I can't speak on women, but I speak on men on this. There are so many men that are dealing with erectile dysfunction. They call it ED. Y'all know what ED is. That's when
okay. I think they know, right?
No, but if they don't, you ain't saluting the flag.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's what it is. You know, it's real. It's an everyday problem. You know, that's why we're talking about it. Because we ain't ashamed to talk about it. I ain't ashamed to talk about it. And so
it's just ain't one of my favorite topics to
it's
be out
my
there talking
favorite
about.
topic to talk about. And so if there's a problem, it needs to be addressed. And so that was a good analogy right there. That was a real good analogy. Because one want to talk about it and one don't. One cool with talking about it and one don't want to discuss it because they feel funny about it. Well, guess what? How you gonna fix it?
No, I didn't say behind closed doors.
No, I'm saying how you. Watch this.
People may not just wanna, if they don't want to talk about it.
Most things people don't want to talk about out open, they don't want to talk about it behind closed doors. That's the reality about it. Most things people don't want to talk about in the open are mainly the main exact things they don't want to talk about behind closed doors. And that's why they don't get resolved. Things don't get better. They don't move to the next level, the next atmosphere, the next dimension in their relationship because they won't talk about this. If you don't want to talk about finances out in the public, you know you'll talk about it behind doors. That's what most men don't talk about it behind closed doors. You think they're going to go out in public and talk about it and they ain't even talking about that behind closed doors? No, they're going to just keep their mouth shut and act like everything's fine, knowing things aren't where they should be at. And so if there's a problem, there needs to be something that that's something that needs to be addressed. That problem needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
If the spouse who is avoiding intimacy refuses what, sweetheart?
Refuses to work on the problem through counseling or medical checkups, this problem can become what?
Exponentially.
Okay, worse. You could have just put become worse. You wanna
No, because watch this. There's a difference between worse and exponentially worse. It's a bigger difference. You know what I'm saying? So we want to emphasize that it can become exponentially. I mean, I'm talking about humongous, gigantic, huge, whatever, big, bigger than worse. No, really, it can become that. Why? Because the person that's avoiding it, that's avoiding that intimacy, and they refuse to talk about it or refuse to work on it, either going through counseling, because a lot of this stuff is emotional. A lot of things, guys, a lot of the breakdowns in sex, in relationships, in marriage, is the lack thereof is emotional. It's psychological. There's something that transpired that's now being blocked through your psyche that's prohibiting you from moving on, from enjoying that very thing that God placed into your life to be enjoyed. And so that's why counseling is so very important. You know, last month was Mental Health Awareness Month. There's some things, man, that mental health awareness, that thing goes into a whole lot of different areas of your life. If you don't address those things, you know, like for myself, for years I struggled with depression. For years, my wife didn't know what was going on with me. I was lunching.
She thought you was crazy.
She just thought I was off. I mean, no, I was a functioning depression. I was every year around there were 2 times a year I would get depressed. I mean, and I'm talking about angry, didn't want to be bothered, didn't want to be around people. I just was most miserable until I dealt with that. And you're going to have to be honest enough with yourself to deal with it. And if this thing is bigger than you just being able to deal with it, then that's what counseling is there for. Unfortunately, I'm wired a little differently than most people because I could be super honest with myself. I don't need you to tell me about me. I know me. I don't fake me out. I know me. Unfortunately, a lot of us believe the lies we tell ourselves. And so you don't even know you. You don't even know you got a problem. And you consequently, you won't deal with it. And your relationship is suffering because you're telling yourself there is no problem. Well, guess what, Bubba? It is a problem. Young lady, there is a problem. And you need to talk about it. You need to seek some counseling. Or if it's not emotional, psychological, then you need to get a checkup. Why them juices ain't flowing? No, really. You know what I'm saying? There could be something physically ailing your body, but because you had a bad experience when you was 5 years old with the doctor, now you never want to go get checkups. And you're not checking up on yourself, or because people in your family have departed or transitioned due to some type of ailment, you don't want to know something wrong with you, so you won't get a checkup. You don't want to know the real, or what you need to fix and work on because you just don't want to hear quote unquote bad news. Well, guess what? All bad news ain't bad news. Matter of fact, bad news ain't bad news at all. It's just news. And it teaches you how you need to function and move on. Because how you going to identify and pray and rebuke and cast down things that you have no idea what they are? You can't. You can't even move on that situation if you don't know what that situation is. And so, listen, we encourage you guys. What was that?
Okay, just said his discernment be on point. LOL.
No, really. So, listen, we got to get some counseling. If it's not counseling, if that's not the issue, then we need to get a checkup. We should always, as adults, get a physical. How many times, sweetheart?
Once a year.
Once a year. Once a year. And as you get a little older,
but there's different. I mean, it end up being probably more than once a year because you got
Correct.
different things that you
Correct.
go for, especially women. I mean, you may want your mammogram, your OBGYN, your regular, yearly physical. So you might go 3 times in 1 year, but you're still going at least once a year.
That's right.
So
because there's some things that you don't feel that they do.
all right.
There's some things that you don't even know what's going on, but they do. And so it's important. It's important to get a checkup, guys. Listen, this is bigger than you. Your children need to know and see that this area is on point, that this area is on top. Because guess what? If they don't, if this isn't apparent in your life, it's not going to be apparent in their life. Because more is caught than taught. And you can tell your children whatever you want to, but they're going to operate off of what they see. They're going to function off of what they see. And not everybody takes that information and makes the adequate decisions and choices. Most people just mimic. And so we want to put a stop to that. Go ahead, sweetie.
Human beings require intimacy.
Say that again.
Human beings require intimacy.
Who are human beings?
Huh?
Who are human beings?
We are.
We require intimacy. We require intimacy. I require that. My wife requires that. She requires intimacy. I require intimacy. Go ahead, sweetie.
This is why simple acts of affection, such as hand holding, cuddling, hugs, kisses, are important to your relationship.
Say it again.
This is why simple acts of affection, such as hand holding.
Stop.
Or holding hands. I don't know why you said hand holding. Well, we got hand holding hands.
See, that's what happens when you ride that bus. That's why when you ride that bus. See, we rode that long bus.
You can say it either way, but it's like
what?
Oh man, you made me.
I made you do what? It's hand holding.
Okay. Well, I say holding hands. So
okay. Go ahead, sweetie.
Anyway. No, you go ahead. Cuddling, hugs, and kisses are important to your relationship. These simple actions let you and your spouse know that you are there for each other, that you matter to one another. Intimacy helps both partners to know that they are loved.
These simple acts of affection, watch this, hand holding, cuddling, hugs, you know what I mean? Kisses. These are important to your relationship. They're important. These acts of kind, these little acts, these are the things that make intimacy intimate. These are the things that make it intimate. These are the things that make it not just about
right.
Because most of it is just come to that now. So these things matter. These things matter. I love the fact that I could throw my foot over there on her. Now, she might be saying you need a pedicure, but I still love the fact that I can put my foot on her. I still love that fact. I love the fact that she can put her foot on me. I love those things. Those things are important. It's important, guys, to show those acts of affection. Holding hands, hand holding, cuddling, all those little kisses, forehead, cheek, lips, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Those things are important. Because watch this, it shows that partner, it shows your spouse that you not only do you love them, but you appreciate them. Because things you don't love and appreciate, you don't do that with. And if you're not doing that, you're sending that message that I feel the same way about you as I feel about everything else.
Absolutely.
Know it or not. So since you don't know it, I'm letting you know that's exactly what that means. If you're not showing acts of affection, if you're not showing these little acts of kindness, you're relaying that I feel about you the same way I do about everything else. And the reality is they know how you feel about everything else. So since they know how you feel about everything else, they feel like you feel the same way about them. Go ahead, sweetie.
Wait a minute. I wouldn't finish up there, was it? The simple actions let you and your spouse know, oh yeah, I did read that, that you are there for each other, that you matter one to another.
That you matter one to another. Watch this. I want to know that I matter. My wife wants to know that she matters. Why else would we even be together? Why else would we be married if we didn't want to matter? Mm-hmm. And that's the unsettling part. That's why I fight so hard in this area. It's because you need to know you matter. Your spouse needs to know that they matter. How do they know they matter? They don't know they matter just because you say they matter. They don't know that. They know you matter. They know they matter by what you do. And what you don't do tells them how much they matter.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sweetie.
Intimacy helps both partners to know that they are loved.
It helps, man. It helps. Because watch this. The enemy always trying to tell you he loves you. He always trying to tell you he loves you. He's always sending things your way to tell you he loves you. And what he's saying is, I love to get you off. I love to mess up what you have. You think that those outside attractions, you think those outside little comments and those outside little whatevers are because of you? No, it's because of what you're a part of. And if the enemy can get you to forfeit that, he can stop a generation. He can stop it. If he can get you off in this area and get you from performing in this area the way you were designed to perform in this area, guess what? A lot of people are going to miss out. A lot of people are going to miss out because they're not going to know the joys of this relationship without seeing you, without experiencing your life, experiencing your life through what they see. They're not going to be able to. And so, go ahead, sweetheart.
Most couples don't realize that it is essential to their relationship to continue to build intimacy.
Most couples don't realize this. It is essential to your relationship to continue to build intimacy. It's essential. As a trainer, when you build in bodies, isn't it essential that they keep going to the gym? Mm-hmm. Why?
That's where they build their bodies at. If you don't go, you're not going to build.
But what is essential in that process?
What do you want me to say?
Come on, woman of steel. Clam up now.
You answer it. You asking me, just tell it.
No. I like doing that to y'all.
Yeah, and then you always just
Yeah, you got to be on point with me. You already know that. No, because when you're going to the gym, what you're doing is when you're working out, you're continually building on that muscle.
Exactly.
You're continually exercising that muscle, continually getting blood to flow through that muscle the way blood's supposed to flow through that muscle, continually to get your heart rate pumped up, continue to get your limbs strengthened. See, it's the same way with intimacy. It's the same way in this sex relationship, man. When you're building on that, when you continue, there are things in your life that's dependent upon that. There's a flow in your life that stops because you stop. It's the same way we're working out. You got people that arteries are clogged up. Guess what? Your relationship arteries are being clogged up because you're not exercising. you're not doing the things that are placed in your gym for you to utilize to build up. Because you think, well, we ain't as young as we used to be. Says who? Your age may not be the same, but that don't mean your youth is gone. I just seen a thing on the news today, this morning. This guy was 82 years old running a 100-yard dash. That tells me in his mind, he's not done. And whatever his mind tells him, his body is going to obey.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of this stuff, you don't psych yourself out by whatever's going on to keep your body from performing the way it want to perform, all because you won't deal with your mind. You won't deal with stinking thinking. And you got to fix that. Go ahead, sweetie. Without intimacy.
Without intimacy, there's never the security in the relationship of knowing that the other person is there for you, or of knowing that they truly love you.
Yeah, that's real.
I'm going to keep going on
That's
down
real.
to the next one because we're coming down to the end.
Go ahead, sweetie.
Intimacy in marriage is what human beings crave. It's a basic need that must be met for any relationship to succeed. Even animals recognize this.
Wow. And I wanted to close with that. Even animals recognize that. Even animals recognize that. Even animals recognize the need for intimacy. How is it that animals got more sense than humans? How is it that an animal got more understanding than a human? Even animals realize the need for sex. My grandmother had this dog. That dog was about 300 years old. That was an old dog. But you better believe you stuck that leg out there, that's what that dog was doing. That dog was ready to do the do. The animals even understand this, guys. Animals even got a revelation, some understanding about this. And here we go, as humans, as husband and wife, and you don't have an understanding about that, the need for that, the importance for that. So listen, guys, listen. Oh man, that was good to me, baby. That was good to me. I told you, I love talking about this. I love it. Because that's what we were created for. We was created to have sex with each other, husband and wife. We were created for that, to be fruitful and to multiply. He summed it up in one saying, have sex. And from that, all these other things will be fulfilled. And so we want to encourage you guys, listen, if you're struggling in that area, seek some counseling. Go get a physical. Find out why you're struggling in that area. If it's about unforgiveness, forgive. If somebody did something you didn't like, let it go. Your marriage relationship is bigger than that circumstance, than that situation. We need you. Your family needs you. But most of all, God needs you to show his image in the earth. Sweetheart, how can they reach us?
Email at weareablendedfamily@gmail.com or our website intheblenderministries.com. Also, taking pre-orders for our first book, The ABCs of the Blended Family.
It's showing that back cover. Yay. That's that good looking couple right there.
Which way
that way. There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's them.
So anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a short read.
So yeah,
but it's an awesome
short,
read.
easy read, but you know, some good nuggets from A to Z. You pre-order, send us an email with your name. Actually, tonight, if you send in to do your pre-order tonight, they're going for $15 a book. $15.
So send your information to where, sweetheart, again?
To our email, we are a blended family at gmail.com.
Also, don't forget to tune in Thursday night,
8 to 9 p.m. on Live 365, WJMS Radio.
And so, listen, guys, we're out of time, but we're not out of message. We love you guys. And until next week, bye-bye.
God bless.